What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Dave Chappelle has a new special out on Netflix called Sticks and Stones, and people are crying their eyes out over it. It's so offensive. How could he ever make jokes about people? Why would he punch down? Oh, why is he making fun of people? I really like the special. It's almost like Chappelle is doing different styles of comedy in each special. He came out with the two specials a couple years ago, which were kind of very different. One was more of a storytelling special. The other one was almost like him just chilling, riffing in like a smaller club kind of a style. And this one's more of a shit talking special, more abrasive for sure. I mean, he's already had to deal with a lot of backlash from his previous specials, specifically from the trans community or LGBT community, or social justice warrior community. I mean, it's a crazy time where the floodgates of being open with your crying and your whining has reached every aspect of our society. Whether you are a social justice warrior or you're the type of person who I think is the exact same type of person as a social justice warrior, where you're on the other side of the argument, where you're, sick of this kind. There is, I mean, with a lot of the social justice warrior stuff, it is very scary in that they are trying to censor language. I mean, it's one thing to try and ban assault rifles, and then you have the Second Amendment people going, it says bear arms. That means anything. But, the freedom of speech thing is a very important for artists, for anybody creative, if you're writing, if you're doing anything. The freedom of speech is a very important freedom that we have in this country. And I understand that sometimes people will say things that are offensive. They hurt your feelings. Maybe they trigger a trauma that happened in your life. But we live in a time where there is more content available to consume than any point in history known to man that we know of. There's never been the amount of options you have to watch something. And yet, people will go and watch, and maybe not even watch. Who knows how much these people who are angry at Dave Chappelle are actually watching the special. I haven't read the articles that are trying to tell me not to watch Sticks and Stones. Vice put out an article, which was crazy, of all the news organizations and blogs and just individuals online that are known for publicly crying about things, to see an article from Vice saying that you should skip this special. I didn't read it, but I mean, clearly you know what kind of audience Vice is going for with that article. They are creating something that a certain community will click on by far the most because they agree that you should skip the special. Now, I don't necessarily think it's Dave Chappelle's best comedy special. I'd have to rewatch all of his specials. I think what he did with his last two specials was something very, very unique, and really great. This special did make me laugh a lot. I just, it didn't really hit me as hard as some of the other specials, but I don't know. I don't know where it ranks up. I said this online. Ranking Dave Chappelle specials is like ranking Tarantino movies. It's like, and I said it on a Swipe Up episode also. It's just, even the worst Dave Chappelle special is better than the vast majority of comedy specials that are hitting the internet these days. Not that that's a bad thing. I think everybody that has had the opportunity to put a special out, it's good for them. I've seen some extremely horrible specials, specifically a former MMA fighter who seems to have a lot of daddy issues and drops more names than he does punchlines. Like I watched it. I watched it because I want to be able to talk shit about it. But here's the thing. Dave Chappelle has already gotten heat from the transgender community, LGBTQ2 community. So anybody going in to watch another Dave Chappelle special and already doesn't like his comedy, that's on them. Like you can't like blame the artist for your inability to avoid their work, already knowing that you're not a fan of their work. That's just stupid, man. You're like a masochist, and then you're blaming other people for your own inability to avoid the shit that you don't like. It's just ridiculous. And let's talk about the art of stand-up comedy. It's the only art form out of every single art form that requires the artist to elicit a specific involuntary response in the participant, in the viewer, in the listener. Comedy only works when the artist is able to make the people watching and listening to him involuntarily laugh. And there's different ways that this artist is able to elicit that reaction. But if the artist is unable to elicit that involuntary reaction in an audience member, and they can't figure it out, they cut the joke. At the point Dave Chappelle is recording a special, or any stand-up comedian, they have performed that act in front of thousands of people all across the United States of America, sometimes all across the world, developing this hour of words designed to elicit an involuntary reaction in the audience. It is done usually at the least like a year. Some comedians, when they record their first special, they've been working on it for 10 years, sometimes longer. So don't blame the artist for being able to elicit the reaction. Blame the society, blame the culture where people who go to see comedy are laughing at those things. Like that's just the way. Like you're mad at the fact that we live in a culture that's laughing at jokes that are targeted at transgender or people who are queer or whatever, which I don't think the jokes were that offensive to begin with. I mean, I'm not part of that community necessarily. I support everybody's ability to live a life without having to be shit on all the time. I think people who are bigots and who use violence against things that they disagree with is wrong. But if you don't like what Dave Chappelle, nobody's forcing you to watch Dave Chappelle specials. I think it's far more alarming that we have politicians that are bigots that say far worse things and who are actually putting laws into place. That's far more impactful in our society. But as far as trying to get onto a comedian, an artist, and trying to get them canceled because you don't agree with the words that they used to elicit an involuntary reaction in the thousands of people in the room at the time he is recording the special, then you have the problem. If you can't handle it, if you can't handle avoiding somebody that you know you're probably going to be offended by watching, that is on you. And it's hilarious special. I enjoyed it. The impressions were hilarious. He talked literally in the special. He talks about how difficult it is to perform for people these days because it's so easy to be outraged and hateful. It's so easy. It's effortless. That's why the president does it, because it's easy. He doesn't do difficult things. He's only ever done easy things, ripping people off, fucking making failed businesses and treating people like shit and fucking getting in bed with nefarious people. Like, I don't know. The special is amazing. Watch it. I think everybody that's complaining about it are fucking idiots. Anybody that goes to Rotten Tomatoes, first off, to see if you might like comedy is retarded. Don't go to Rotten Tomatoes. Go there for movies, maybe TV shows. But if you're using Rotten Tomatoes as your kind of metric for seeing if you'd like stand-up comedy, they're completely different art forms. Completely different art forms. Like, would you go to Rotten Tomatoes to see if you like a band? No. You listen to the fucking band and you see if you like their music. It's ridiculous. We live in a ridiculous time. But go watch Dave Chappelle's work. He's one of the best comedians to ever do it. And if you pay attention, he's not that offensive. I love it. Anyway, that's it for this episode. That's it. New episodes of this show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go purchase my original artwork over at inspireddisorder.com and save 25% when you use coupon code RTS. Follow me on all social media at Ray Taylor. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!